those two mentorship pieces. I had mentorship in real estate, and then I had a mentor in the online business space that told me to not go down that route. He kind of guided me and focused me. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is it's like everybody needs mentorship. Not only the mentors have their own mentors too.
Sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. The best people in the business, have somebody that they go to, all across the board. Everyone has that go-to person.
Yeah.
Now, Markian, how do you incorporate, let me back up a little bit. How do your personal values and your beliefs play a role in your business?
Wow. So personal belief of mine is that in America. So first of all, I think America is the greatest country in the world, and I'm coming from being a generation immigrant, and so there was a value and a belief there from the very beginning that America kind of adopted my whole family from both sides, my parents' side, my mom's, from my dad's side, my mom's side. Their parents moved post World War II and or religious oppression in Yugoslavia, but they're all Ukrainian background. And they all moved to the States, and just serendipitously, my parents got together. And I actually was born in Ukraine because my dad was a nuclear engineer working on Chernobyl, writing his dissertation on there. I always joke about him being a huge nerd. So they actually moved back to Ukraine, and that's where I was born 6 months prior to the fall of the Soviet Union. So that experience and living there until I was 15 and a half, I saw, there were pockets of time where I lived in London and in the States, but mostly I lived in Ukraine, and I saw people living a very, very different life. I saw people that didn't have the financial opportunities that we do in America. I saw people that were just brought down by corruption. And so seeing that made me just realize how important it is that we don't waste what is given to us here in America. And that's right. Kind of a personal belief. It's like, I don't want to waste the opportunity that's given to me. I want to make sure that we use this, what I call the cornerstone of American wealth, and that is real estate. And this is like my new duty, like I feel like I need to get more of American real estate. I need to provide more jobs, provide more affordable housing, get smarter with finances, all that stuff that real estate provides. Honestly, if it wasn't for real estate, I wouldn't understand finances well. I would probably fail at creating my online business because real estate has so many principles built into teaching, and it kind of just through osmosis, you learn about how America operates. And so anyways, what I'm getting at is my personal belief is don't waste an opportunity, right? And I think, and don't waste, the opportunities that America provides you, and just seeing the contrast, seeing two completely different worlds, and coming back to the States and joining the military kind of follows that, I guess. And then just the next logical step was becoming an entrepreneur, I guess, in America, because honestly, I think that's what America is all about. And I also think, obviously, that performing a certain trade, a certain job, being just a teacher or being a doctor is also incredibly important. And that is the only way any country is going to go forwards. But also just on the side, learn about creating your own finances. Don't be stuck in the one little mindset of just doing your day-to-day job. I mean, I think a lot of my military brothers and sisters, sometimes they get trapped in like, hey, I'm just going paycheck to paycheck. Well, put a little bit like that. That's one of my personal beliefs. And that's why, we created this company. It's like, put a little bit more effort into your finances. Like you are smart enough. You do have enough time. I think I almost felt like I was brought up in the military to where, hey, you don't have time. You're not smart enough. Just put your money away. Just put it away in a TSP, Roth IRA. You don't have the ability to think this through right now. You need to focus on your primary job. Well, I think I'd be doing myself and my country a disservice if I didn't kind of spend time really establishing myself. We hear it in the news all the time about how many homeless veterans are on the streets. Like, obviously, right. I'm not saying that's an extreme example, but that is a thing. And so I think I think by educating people, more people it'll just kind of become magnetic, and hopefully it'll spread the word, and some people's lives will be better. Not to sound super dramatic there, but seriously.
Yeah, I agree with you, because it seems like it's you mentioned the homelessness, that it's kind of symptomatic of the the entitlement mentality that we need to break from from the veterans, and other people in general, but especially our veteran community. I mean, we have so many abilities and skills that we learned in our time in service that we shouldn't have that entitlement mentality and that broken mentality. We should be thinking abundant mentality rather than scarcity mentality, and looking for ways to create something and be part of something bigger. And that ultimately is why even I created the podcast to be talking about legacies, is because that is a big concept. And when we enlisted because we wanted to be part of something larger than ourselves. And what's larger than creating a legacy is going to be around for 3, 4, 5 generations. I mean, that's probably the largest enterprise we can go into.
Agreed.
And when you're starting up your business, what kind of I guess hurdles or bumps in the road, if you will, what'd you come across when you're starting your business, being active duty also?
So obviously, first of all, I'd say the biggest for me is just making sure people don't think that I'm like changing my focus. Your job, military job is your primary focus, is your job. In terms of your professional life, the military is still my number one priority. So I need to make sure that I'm not trading one priority for another. And that remains my primary focus. So I would say that the difficulty, it's not a bump in the road. Difficulty was making sure that even though I'm projecting how excited and how pumped I am about our company, about real estate investing, that people don't think that that's taking over my primary occupation. And just because, in the analogy I bring some people, I'm like, hey, you might be watching, football and every single day. Like, I had friends that watch football every day. There's nothing wrong with that, but my football is literally building my company and doing real estate. So I'm like, hey, how many hours do you spend on that? Okay, well, this is my thing, and so, but it's a little bit, the standard military thing is you work hard, you play hard, and then that's pretty much it, right? And so showing people that, hey, I have another thing that I work hard on, and it's not interfering. It's not scary. I can show you what I'm doing. Like, it just that was the difficulty. Like, just sometimes people around me, they just think I'm crazy that I'm like, that I'm spending so much time creating this website. They're like, don't understand the fascination. And I'm just, it is what it is. I mean, I love it. And I think that what's happening now is it's kind of coming full circle, and people are now getting more interested in wanting to meet up and talk about it, because now it doesn't seem like just it's a fascination. It's got legs. It's going forward. So I would say that was a little bit difficult. I would say balancing family is also it's always a balance. It's always, as Dan Dwyer called it, is like a work-life integration or family work integration. Don't quote me on that. Dan, sorry, I can't remember exactly how he said that. But he talks about it not being a balance, but the integration, right? You really have to learn how to make your family a part of everything you're doing, because you're passionate about it, and you want to show them why you're passionate about it, and you want them to be passionate about it. You want them to support you. You don't want to just like trade time all the time. Like, oh, okay, now I'm with my family, now I'm with my company, now I'm with, the military, now I'm with this, that, and the other thing. Like, just make it all one thing. Teach everybody about what you're doing, make it a symbiotic relationship. Try to involve your spouse or your children. And, like if you're real estate investing, have your spouse help you do property analysis, have your kids like shred paper and save taxes on that, by the way. I'm just saying, like, there's, make it an integration. So, and sure. It is difficult, but it is, oh my gosh, it is very rewarding.
It is. And, you're kind of alluding to a good point there that, with our being entrepreneurs, it's part of our lifestyle. It's not like, you punch the clock 9 to 5 and then you go home and you're a different person. You are the person that you are. And so you're that same person, whether you're working or whether you're not working. And so it should be part of who you are, not just something that you do. Because if it's part of who you are, you enjoy doing it. If it's something that you do, then at some point you're going to dread doing it. So, which side of the fence do you want to be on? Do you want to be on the one that does what you love, and you wake up wanting to do it, you go to sleep wanting to do it, and you eat, breathe, and speak that language? Or are you going to do something that you're doing for the drudgery of it just because it brings in a paycheck? That at the end of the day is why we become entrepreneurs. Is we don't just want a paycheck. We want something bigger than that. It's the whole life. It's the whole life, being able to express ourselves through what we do.
Agreed. Couldn't say it better myself. Yeah.
So ultimately, what compelled you to go into real estate?
Ultimately, it was reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Okay.
It wasn't the compelling moment. It was the light bulb. It was the spark. It was the epiphany. It was like, holy cow, I can create. Okay, here's the difference. I was always thinking I needed to save money for retirement.
Mm-hmm.
Now I think completely differently. I threw that out the window. I was like, now I need to create assets or purchase assets, invest in assets that are producing income every month. Because I would much rather have $10,000 every month than have $1 to $2 million when I'm 65. That's the shift. Is that I would rather, because I would rather not eat away at a savings, because you need to. I think it is like you need to be able to live off of 4% of your according to Tony Robbins. You need to be living off of 4% of your savings in order to be able to maintain that after retirement until the day you die or whatever. And so if you want to spend $80,000 every single year, you need $2 million saved up. And so I don't know how realistic that is when you find out that I think, oh my gosh, the statistics are abysmal. Some very, very low percentage of people actually have saved up for retirement because, life happens and they stop putting money away, or who knows what's going to happen down the road. Why not create something that is just absolutely, you're forcing yourself into that position, something that's going to be saving money for you, like tenanting off that debt that is going to be equity in your pocket someday. And then also the thing that's immediately impacting your lifestyle. Like if I have 20 rental properties, I know I'm financially free. Or if I have a 56 unit apartment building, for example, that's producing $6, $8, maybe sometimes $10,000 every single month, that is boom. Like that property is going to be my parents' retirement. When my dad stops teaching, that's going to be their retirement. And so that's the thought process, is like, it switched. I was like, I don't need to have money in the bank that I'm going to be slowly eating away. I'm going to create streams of income when I'm young, so that maybe I'll even retire earlier, like way earlier. So that was the shit.
Yeah, and you made several really good points there that I wanted to kind of pull out there for our listeners. That you're mentioning, putting, that mindset shift. That's huge. That's a huge point that you mentioned, because so many people are thinking, and I've called it the big lie of finance, is that you work the 9 to 5 so that when you reach a certain age you can retire and live off of what you saved up. And you also mentioned the 4% thing that Tony Robbins has, which actually I would disagree with the 4% number that he quotes, because that's really not feasible for people to do. They'll run out of money.
No, I agree.
They're going to run out unless they're doing 2 to 3% is really more like it, and that's taking a horrible haircut. And why would somebody want to do that? So, taking that all back is, when you're saying, building the assets, the asset class lifestyle is where it's at. You build the assets so that you have that now. You're still going to have that later. So, instead of focusing on, okay, I'm going to work all these years so that when I get to this point, then I can just kick my feet up, take it easy, and I'll live off the rest. That's not legacy mindset. Yeah. It's creating the assets so that you're living off of it today, but when you get there, you're still going to be living off of that. And when you're through with it, your kids are going to be living off of it, and they're going to build on it.
Yeah, I bought my son a rental property. Yeah, I bought my son a rental property when he was born, or plus or minus a couple of months, because that's going to be his college. I'm going to pass it on to him, and I'm going to be like, hey, This is an asset. Here's your spending money while you're in college. You're going to use this cash flow to pay off your student loans and debt, because everybody else